Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions. Staying with agriculture, we will now be diving into the supply chain management and technology driving the agri space. Joining me now to take this discussion forward is Karthik Jayaraman, co-founder and managing director at Cool Foods. Karthik, hi, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you are a company which is in food development and distribution. What is the potential that you see into the Indian market with this? What is the difference that you're making on ground, and what are the challenges?
I think, as we know, India is a country that moved from food deficient to food surplus very recently. The past 60 years efforts have been on focusing on making sure we have enough food to feed our population. Now we're starting, as the country moves from being a developing country to a middle income country, we're starting to see the upgrade of the kind of food that we eat, the nutrition levels, whether we can add value to the food and offer convenience to the consumers, and so on. So we see that we're at the beginning of a very long S-curve that will continue for quite some time to come as India moves to become a middle-income country and then beyond. And we want to play a role in that.
Clearly. You were founding in 2015, Karthik. How would you say the journey has been for the last 7-8 years?
It's been intense. I think the sector is extremely unorganized and every commodity has its nuances, as you're well aware. We've been learning the nuances of each of these commodities, while also building depth in our supply chain, which we believe is critical to build a sustainable model over here. The closer we are to the farmer and the more directly we are able to reach the product to the consumer, I think the better off we are. And that requires quite a bit of operational intensity. It also requires quite a bit of technology in the form of demand planning. Most of our supply chains have been push-led. So farmers grow what they grow and we push the product down the supply chain. What we're trying to do is to see what is that the consumer demands, and can we align harvesting and eventually production to this? That requires a lot of predictive capabilities, a considerable amount of AI deployment, which we have learned over the years, and now we have enough data to get better at it continually.
And just when you're doing that, monsoon plays a spoil sport. I mean, the last 3 years were all right when it comes to monsoon and weather as well. I mean, this is going to be a challenging year, Karthik. How are you looking at it?
It will be an interesting year, Manisha, for two reasons. One is, of course, there's been a slight delay already. A delay of up to a week to 10 days doesn't matter much, but if it gets beyond that, then sowing will be affected. And if it is delay plus deficiency in the early stages, where the probability in my view is quite low, then it may have an impact on rain-fed crops. What will be interesting to watch more than the delay is the effect of El Nino. My guess is it will not matter much this year because the effect is supposed to be in the second half of the year. And in any case, the rain-fed crops would have received what they received. It may, and rice and other crops in Northwest, which is likely to be affected, are anyway not purely rain-fed, they are also irrigated. But ongoing effects we will have to see. The wrinkle in all of this is the intensity of the summer. Will that translate into cloud bursts? In which case, some of the sowed crops may be affected as well. So it's going to be interesting, and it's not very predictable, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Directionally, it looks okay for this season, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, this uncertainty, unpredictability that we have seen across. I mean, when was the last time you felt so uncertain in a year, Karthik?
So for us, because we're in the supply chain, it's not just the supply which affects us, but every activity along the way. And from that point of view, you've seen the impact of climate, especially since we operate in southern India over the last several years now. We've seen 3 floods, 2 cyclones hit us, and several such factors affect us pretty much throughout our existence. So in a way, it helps because we have to build a model that's naturally resilient towards this. But we can see the effect. And so what we're seeing now is not unusual, and it's not restricted to sowing alone. We will see this along the supply chain.
You also done recent tie-ups with IIT Madras, Tamil Nadu Agri University, Yara India. What does it bring on table for you?
See, the intent here is to build a platform where we can bring agility into agriculture. And the agility needs to be brought in through domain knowledge as well as technology. If we can establish a regenerative agriculture stack, which is what IIT Madras Pravartak Foundation has built, and we can bring this to the farmer, we should be able to use the data that's available to continually provide guidance to the farmers on what is the action they need to take the week after and so on. For example, within our own stack, we have built an irrigation management system where we have an IoT device that we can offer to the farmer that can tell them what the likely impact of local weather is and how much irrigation should they do and should they do it at all. Now, in some crops, we put another layer on top of it where we are able to predict the onset of certain diseases with reasonable accuracy. And as we get more data, this gets more and more accurate. This helps the farmer take evasive action rather than corrective action after the disease has struck. These kind of interventions will become more and more frequently required for farmers as climate uncertainties start to kick in. These are all part of climate adaptation. And that's really what we want to do in partnership with IIT Madras Pravartak Foundation, as well as some of the input partners that we are working with.
Clearly. So, we do understand that there are nearly 1,400 plus agri-tech companies in India right now. Would you say that we, again, a question really, what is the potential and what is the penetration? How much on-ground difference is it really making?
Very, very early days, Manisha. Honestly, 1,400 agri-tech companies in a country where there are 150 million landed farmers is nothing. And I think we will need a lot more. We will all find our spaces, but honestly, we are probably at very early stages, touching maybe 1 to 5% of the population at best. So a long way to go.
All right, Way-Cool Foods is another of your, enterprise there. What is the plan going forward from here, Karthik?
Way-Cool has been focused on building the supply chain between the farm gate and the retail point for fresh produce, grains, and dairy. What we're doing now is to increase our penetration in southern India. We're already present here and we will remain focused in southern India, where we want to be there in every town that's above 5,000 in population. We also want to procure deeper the range of commodities that we deal with, add value to the products. We've already launched a range of brands which have started getting very good traction of both commodity products as well as value-added products such as flowers and processed foods. We will be doing more of this and therefore consolidating our presence in southern India and penetrating deeper into the market.
Point well said then. Clearly, there are expansion plans there. But as you said, Karthik, that so many agriculture companies, but even then with that, there is 2 to 5% of a reach that we've seen on ground there. So clearly plenty to be done. And congratulations on all the efforts that you are making on ground there. But with that, that's all the time that we have on this edition of Commodity Champions. Don't go anywhere because news continues right here on CNBC-TV18.